Hi, everybody. My presentation today will be about two hobbies that I have. One of these is data technology, and the other one is marine biology with special attention to fisheries management. And really what I did, I made my livelihood from taking these two hobbies and putting them together. I will talk about how technologies, in this case specifically data technology, can change dramatically the fisheries management, not just as a tool to help with present management, but actually to change completely management thinking and management approach of fish resources. So we are a company that started in Cape Town. This is the beautiful view of Cape Town, and some of you maybe can see the stadium that where the World Cup, the World Cup, I think it was in 2001, I cannot remember, was played. And we also have offices in Lisbon, where we dealing mainly with clients from North America and Europe. Our core focus is quantitative fisheries management and eLog solution. And my main focus will be about the eLog solution that we develop, but we're also doing the development of general predictive analytics and big data tools and solutions. We are a data people. We are about 50 strong staff, and we're operating in 12 countries around the globe. Fisheries. So I will talk a little bit about why we need really data technology for fisheries, and I will explain shortly the main issue. But what happened recently, or when I say recently, the last 10 years, that people stopped looking at fishery management as the management of the fish, but as a management of the ecosystem, where the fish that we are fishing, the commercial fish that we want to really catch and target on, is just one individual or one species in a very complex environment. So that's demand come from scientists, from ecologists, from the general public, and from the general notion that fishing is actually very damaging to the environment as a whole. And in order to respond to that kind of expectation and demand, the regulatory bodies and the compliance body decided that more and more data need to be supplied by the fishermen in order for us to be able to address ecosystem management issue. And the end result of this kind of approach was that suddenly fishermen were loaded. We call it a tsunami of management, requirement for data, very complicated, and I will talk about the complexity just now. And it's become basically virtually impossible to satisfy the data requirement that now, from a very simple form of a few questions about the species that were caught, where they were caught, and what fishing gear you used, to a variety of very complicated questions and very complex regulation of information. So we call it the tsunami of regulation. And the problem was that fishery management is actually probably one of the most complex discipline, I would suggest to say practical discipline in the world, because in fishery management, everything is moving, and I will explain just now. And in that addition, you need to take into account, when you manage the fish, you need to take into account many data requirements, which I'll explain just now. And you need to balance a lot of technology, a lot of data requirements, and in addition, add to this politics and marketing market issue and financial and economic issue. So altogether, I would dare to suggest that fishery is probably one of the most complicated occupation to manage, or discipline to manage. So what is commercial operation? I said that everything is moving on the fish. So If you see the fishing vessel that was taken by some equipment that we put on a fishing vessel in Portugal, you see a lot of moving parts as you go. I mean, the boat is moving, the winches are moving, there is a net that going down, up and down, there is a lot of ropes, everything is moving. This is the fishing gear, and every item on this vessel have relevance, one way or another, have relevance to our management and the way we estimate the size of the stock and the vulnerability of the stock. So we have all sorts of vessel type in fishery. We have many, many fishing methods. We have tens of fishing methods and hundreds of variation on every single fishing method. We have a lot of catch, can be defined in many, many ways, can be defined as the whole fish, but normally or often, especially on the big vessel, the fish arrive already cut, and we need now to try to guess from the different cuts, from different boxes, what was the real fish, where it was caught in his real environment. We are fishing vessel operating in very different weather situation, and weather have huge impact on and the environment have huge impact on the catchability of the fish. So we need to take into account possible impact of the environment, of the fishing gear, of the vessel, type of vessel on the catch. Fish that we catch are just often just one phase in a fairly complex life cycle, in which we are picking up maybe the more mature, maybe from sort of fairly large juvenile to adults. But there is a lot of life cycle, part of the fish life cycle that we don't deal with, or we don't see, we don't really deal with, we never catch. We cannot really get information unless we do very dedicated survey. And the fish have zillions of marine habitats, and in this habitat, this is just an example to small head of corals with many coral species on it. So, I mean, you can consider that there are zillions of different habitats in which we are fishing, especially when we're using the MRSA gear, fishing gear. It means gear that's sitting on the sea bottom. We need to take into account the possible impact on that type of habitats. So what we decided as OLSPS, I was involved in many years in sitting in South Africa, mainly sitting in committees where we were doing mainly stock assessment type of work, trying to advise the government and the fishing industry how much fish they should take, and what is the stock stage, and what is the stock productivity, and is it in a risk position or not? And what we picked up very quickly, that while the mathematics and the statistic of what we were doing was fairly advanced, the data that we were using were very poor quality. And we felt that we're not doing justice to the complexity of the subject, because we're using data that are not reliable and lack a lot of information. So as I said, because I was really interested in data technology, and when we started it, computer really started to become mainstream in many other industries, and I thought it's time to bring it to the fishing vessel. And I took on ourselves to build a system, that a data collection system for fishery that will be affordable and simple to use, can be utilized in real time, can ensure data integrity, address compliance, commercial and scientific, compliance, commercial and scientific. There is one word that I forgot to remove. Automate the data recording and reporting processes, organize all the information in one place, and will be accessible in one pattern, and will save a lot of time. So really what I said, that I want to take what was the norm in my early days in fishery management. A more advanced might be some very complicated spreadsheet, but that was the maximum of technology that we had 10, 15 years ago used on fishing vessel. And I decided we need to move it with a very advanced electronic platform. When I say very advanced, I started it I started the development about 20 years ago. And since then, technology's changed so dramatically that what I thought was extremely advanced when I just built my first electronic logbook, that's how we call to that kind of devices, I thought is the top of technology today is look ridiculously old and low tech. So what is our application? We develop a suite of tools, and what I will do now, I will review the tools that we develop. There are what I call the best tool, you know, the ability to collect information and then to share this information. So the core system, what we call the OLRAC, and the OLRAC is some legacy name, don't worry about the name. eLog application is made of many tools, but there is one core tool that is used on the vessel. We call it the vessel unit. And then we have a fleet management, a shore server, a web-based shore server, which can collect data from many, many vessels and manage them. And we call the OLRAC, the vessel unit, we call OLRAC Dynamic Data Logger, OLRAC DDL. As I said, everything is moving, and our software need to address a very dynamic data collection situation. And the shore server, we call the OLRAC Dynamic Data Manager, which is OLRAC DDM. And if you hear the name DDL and DDM, then just know that the first is the vessel unit and the second is the shore unit. So as I just explained, we have a shore system. The shore system is not a reporting tool, although it sounds, and some of you that know electronic logbook see electronic logbook as a reporting tool. In our case, it's not a reporting tool, it's data collection tool that can compile report as well. So what our main philosophy when we developed the tool was number of, I would say, a little bit unusual approach into fishery data. First of all, we said that it's not just a data sort of alphanumeric data. It can also images and video and any other type of information that one can bring in as data. We also said we are not really preparing a report. What we're doing, we trying to follow up the operation and then to collect all the data relevant to the operation at a very high resolution, at a very structured way. So when we come, and then when people ask for information, we just extract from them the type of information that they need. And of course, because it's a software tool, then we will allow each one will then get only the data that he needs. We don't really, not all the data need to be shared, take into account issue from confidentiality and etc. So on a vessel unit, we collect any information to any level of resolution on fishing gear, images and video, the vessel movement, marine life observation, catch and bycatch, environmental condition, and other. Each of these heading, there are many, many, many subheading, and which we allow the user to collect in a very easy, intuitive way, and virtually without any typing. Then we have a shore system that compile the report. You can use for scientific messages, for commercial use, for compliance reporting, for scientific management, commercial usage, and for marketing. Again, once you have the data, you can decide, or the user can decide how to utilize it. This is just a screenshot. I will give you a few screenshots just to demonstrate the project we took. This is a relatively modern version of the software. It wasn't so sophisticated. So first of all, our electronic logbook solution are all touchscreen enabled. And that's really why they have a slightly strange and unusual look, because we build tiles about everything that one can do with a keyboard or mouse. He can use just by touching the screen. So we have what we call tiles, and the tiles have subtile, and each subtile is an object that there is a lot of data behind it. I'm not going to give you a live demonstration now, but just like in Windows, there is a depth. So each of this information, there is a lot of depth. Everything that you see here have a lot of depth. As you can see, we also allow what we call a lookup. So lookup can be in a way of a field that already pre-populated, any jargon or terms that need to be used we have it. We have a lookup for it. When the software arrives to the user, he get it. The software arrives fully customized to the specific fishery, have all the jargons of their fishing gear that they're using, the species, the product, anything that is unique to their client is there already pre-populated. It just needs to pack the right value. Because we're working with the compliance authority in many countries, we also, of course, have all the information required by compliance in the way that it's required by the compliance. The authority provides us with what we call a schema. In our case, in most cases, it's XML schema or JSON schema. And then we make sure that the data arrive to the authorities in exactly according to their schema. And in this case, for example, there was a requirement on some lobster fishery to see what is the fecundity level of the lobster. And we don't expect the user, the fisherman, to know exactly what is different fecundity level. All you need to do is to look at the belly of the lobster and then to tell us what he see, and we will then give it as a data to the scientists, for example, want to look on impact on female stock or possible impact on recruitment. And I will talk more about this part. We have also the ability to utilize cameras on board, or to take our own camera or even your mobile phone and to collect picture and to send information as a picture. But we also information that can be tabulated, and there is virtually no limit to the way we can present, collect and present data. The shore system is really just the accumulation of data that's coming from many, many vessels. There is a huge emphasis, big emphasis on security and access. So not everybody can see what information coming from other vessels. But in a commercial company, for example, the fleet manager will be able to see in real time where are all his vessels, what they were fishing, what is the weather condition, how much he caught, how much catch he have on board, even what level of product, even what prices they want for their fish. Every information that is collected on the vessel can be in real time, only real time visible on the shore, no matter where the viewer of the web server is. And we have, I will not go through different tales, but we can track the vessel location, we can mark the fishing where they were fishing exactly, and we can present information at the trip level, at the vessel level, or day by day, or you name it. Basically, there is no limit for the way the data can be presented to the different user on the fleet management. And as I will show you just now, the fleet manager also have other roles, which I will explain just now, and management roles. So we build on top of this basic tool, which is a tool to collect data mainly. We build a lot of add-on application, and let me just go through them very quickly. I probably will talk too much already, but let me just try to take you through the different applications that we build. So the first one is a tool that allows a fleet of vessels. This particular study was done in the Gulf of Mexico with the scallop fishery. And not in the Gulf of Mexico, in the Northeast Atlantic with the scallop fishery. And in this case, they wanted to share the information about protected bycatch that can stop fishing from taking place the moment the bycatch species caught in too large quantity. The main species was scallop, and the bycatch species was yellowtail flounder. So we allowed them to use a tool like our tool, basically, to send information, to collect data, as they're normally collecting data about their catch, included bycatch. This data then can send in real time to the web server, to the DDM, this management server that I just told you. The server then automatically compile biocatch map, means saying that area where the aggregated information from the different vessels show, in this example, red or yellow, you know there is a lot of bycatch that should be avoided. The web server then sent automatically to the vessel telling them, hey, I have a bycatch maps for you, all happen in real time while the boat at sea. They get some notification on their computer that they have a bycatch map waiting for them. This map then sent, they're pulling the map out of the server, and this map then be sent to the vessel. And now all the vessel have a map that showing, sorry, I move a little bit too fast. All the vessel have a map that show them where is high bycatch and where is low bycatch. So this map is now shared by all the vessels at real time, and you can do it. In interval of every few hours or every few days, or in summary of the last 3 days or 4 days, or summary of the last 20 days. You can decide. There is a lot of setup that one can do. This is more complex, and I will talk very briefly. This is a whole management system that we developed using our tool, which basically allow fishermen not to worry about quota, to fish wherever they want. And the example that I give is that the whole management system is based on the fact that each fisherman get a certain points when he start fishing, the fishing season start. And these points are spent based on how responsible the fisherman is and how risky is the area that is fishing. I would be gladly answer question on that one if people have interest. And it's more like you take your kids to the fishing mall, to the shopping mall, and then you give them I don't know, $50, and you're telling them, hey guys, you can use your $50 as you wish, but the moment you finish the $50, then you off. You cannot buy anything. And some of them will go and buy some brand, some new t-shirt, expensive t-shirt, and some of them will buy some, I don't know, some other stuff. You don't tell them what to buy. You just give them the budget. This is exactly how this tool working. It's far more involved. There is a lot of science behind what I've just said, and the whole system is managed using our technology. And again, so we have a management. The management give to the user a maps that define where he can go fishing. Each block on the map represent risk level. The risk can be determined using different methodology. We can talk about it later in the question time. And black area should be totally avoided. Red area are expensive, and yellow and orange area are less expensive. And as I said, once you finish his budget, the budget in this case is 200 points. Once he finish it, then he will have to leave the water. So it's sort of a very fancy effort control management. We also integrated camera into our eLog. So camera can, as I said, used by onboard camera that can be placed on the vessel, and we can read the information into our electronic logbook. We are working with number of camera provider. Right now, we have a partnership with Teamfish, which is a New Zealand company and New Zealand Canadian company that develop very sophisticated camera. And we collect the images for viewing. And we can also capture the image into our eLog, so the user can press a button and any image of interest can go directly into the eLog and can be then part of the reporting, of the eLog reporting. And we also building a different AI tool that allows with time to automatically estimate the size of the catch and estimate the size of the catch species by species. We, in the last 4 years, we started a process which is very advanced. We already have people using it to move all this technology that I just showed you into a mobile platform. Mobile platform can be either Android or iOS, a mobile system, and also tablet. And as I said, we already have clients using it. That particular technology is really, the main interest, I think, is with a smaller boat, more artisanal or small commercial fleet, where virtually everybody has a phone. The eLog is downloadable, but still customized per client. And you will do, or when it already can do a lot of things, and when we finish with this, it will do everything that the desktop tool is doing. And we also team up with a company that develop a satellite communication system that can make any iPhone, any iPhone or Android system, satellite communication system at a portion, at a fraction of the price of present Inmarsat or Iridium-based modem. When I say fraction, I mean 1/10 of the price. And we team up with them, and now our mobile system can communicate in real time, send SOS, do chatting, and send data and report using this particular satellite system at a very affordable cost. And the last thing, we also use our tool to develop. That was something that we were asked to do, to trace fish product and fish and catches from the fish location all the way to the restaurant or to the supermarket, using the tracing of RFID or QR tags that place on the product or on the box of products during fishing operation. We're taking care also for possible repacking and reprocessing on the shore. And once the fish is on its way, anybody can scan the RFID tag or the QR tag and to know exactly where the fish caught, when it was caught, what species, what was the weather, if you wish, whatever, any information related to the fishing operation. And the last things that we develop is what we call a citizen science program. We are working on this for over 5 years now. This is the tool that will allow you, and the first version will go to the market later this year, will allow you to identify virtually everything that you can see at sea. When I say everything, I mean things that are visible from a platform, not if you dive and catch. So it can be whales, as any type of cetaceans, turtles, jellyfish, sharks, you name it, seabirds, everything. And also, if you see some other boat, fishing boat, or maybe we were asked to add people trafficking boat, or iceberg, or pollution event, or you name it. So this is called Marine Observer, and it's something that started as a relatively modest idea, but now it's very evolved. And we now, in really final, the end of the trip, the user will have huge amount of data where he identified almost everything that he could see. He can share it with his friend in terms of some digital document, or create a video or PowerPoint. He can also load it into a web server that can accumulate all this information. Really what we try to do, we try to create a tool that everybody that go to the sea, either on a fishing vessel, on cruise boat, or just to stroll on the beach, or on his yacht, can record and report everything that he see. And this data can be then stored. And this data will have of high quality, because we created a set of tools that allow you to make sure that what you're reporting is very accurate, or as accurate as possible, combination of identification and images. And that we sit on a server where this data can be on permission, can be shared, and can be used even for scientific research, or just for entertainment or social communication. Again, this tool, this is 5, 6. I can talk about this tool only a few hours, so I think I will stop here. I will introduce you to the team, which is mainly scientists, mathematicians, software designer, fishing biologists, fishery biologists, etc. Very colorful and very, very smart team of people. And I will say thank you. And sorry, where is the thank you slide? Yeah, and if you have any question, guys, just ask. I think I done my bit.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a really, really interesting talk. So if anyone has any questions, I'll just give you a minute or so to put them into the chat or the Q&A. If you want to know anything extra, now will be a great time to to ask and see. I'll kick off with a question. I was just wondering, like at the maybe closer to the start of the design, or that, how involved were kind of fishing communities and people doing the actual fishing, like kind of involved in kind of the design of the the app and the software? Were they
extremely involved, not just in the design, definitely in the type of information, but also in the together with the fishing authority in what should be reported, what sort of be compulsory, what shouldn't be compulsory, what they want also for the compliance, but what they want for their commercial needs. There is not every single client. This is not a plug and play. Every single client, the first thing that we're doing, we engage with him, and the software is customized to the client. So what we have an engine that we developed over 20 years almost, that allow basically to accommodate any client. We have any fish jargon that you can in the world, maybe not Chinese, but other than that, virtually everything, any fishery, any fishing method, anything that one can think of, and we build it for the client. And the client is very, very involved in the design, but also in the management decision that based on such tool.
Great, awesome. I just have a look. Someone just dropped into the chat. Someone has said, how widely has citizen science apps been taken up, and can the geographic range be expanded?
Yeah, the demand for this is crazy, and I feel very guilty because I already presented it a number of times, and I actually have an actual presentation. And there were people that just pull out a checkbook and wanted to get involved already. Right now, we have agreement with a very big cruise company. They want to offer it to all their clients. We're talking to school. We presented in a number of schools, a number of academic institutes. We want the tool to be used for education, for marine observation education. I really, really hope, as I said, it started as a modest project, but we are already working on this for more than 5 years because it's become very, as we dived in, we realized how complicated the project is. There is huge demand for it. There is not even one commercial version or not one version yet in the market. I really hope if you call me next year to show you a commercial version working and to talk to you about how many people using it.
Great. Another question drop in.
By the way, sorry, one thing, it can also extend to any other species that you want. There is no limit. The engine that we build, the identification engine, if you decide to use the same tool in the same look for terrestrial animals, for birds, for terrestrial birds, for insects, for plants, the identification process that we built into the system can apply to any species in the world. Okay.
Great. Was there a difference in the interest and uptake in the system from the skippers of large vessels to small vessels?
Yeah, there was there was a common approach by everybody. Nobody wanted it initially. When I just came with the thing, and I thought that everybody will see immediately the wisdom of having tool like this on the vessel, they were extremely anti because they saw it's just another big brother tool that will spy on them and will send their data to the authority or will send their data to their competition. So the first 10 years was I spent traveling the world and educating people. I promise you, I've been in hundreds of meetings with fishing industry, with government authority, with different management committee, because even the government said, no fisherman will ever use computer. I mean, they're not using computer. And I told them, but you are wrong. They're using a very sophisticated electronic on their vessel. Why wouldn't they use computer? What really happened about 2010, that it's become compulsory, it started to be compulsory to use electronic logbook. And I must admit, as a commercial person, there is no better drive than something that become compulsory, because then people need to use it. And then the entire attitude changed, because once people realized that they have to use it, they started to look first time at what value it can bring them. And now there is much more interest. The big vessel, they buy it only for the added value, or mainly. The compulsory is just a small thing for them that they have to do, but they really want all the added value utility that come with this tool. And the same tool that I show you, for example, that you can see what bycatch you should avoid, is also can calculate for you exactly where is the best fishing places that you should go based on criteria, on different filtering criteria, etc. So, so the tool, people see it for the value. The smaller vessels are mainly concerned about cost. For the big vessel, the cost is nothing. For the small vessel, they worry about cost and the cost of the actual tool and cost of the transmission. So that's really, there are more money concerned, while the big vessel have more concern about what it can do for them.
Great. That leads quite nicely into this question, where someone was interested to know how you encourage timely reporting of the fisheries catch when some vessel captains may see this as too much of an oversight and causing problems in terms of bycatch area closures.
I mean, the bycatch issue in the scallop fishery cost them $30 million, cost them $10 million a year. If this tool will prevent them to go and to catch this yellowtail flounder, which is a choke species in our term, species that the fishing season will stop if it overcaught, they can save crazy amount of money. So here, for example, there is example where fishermen agree to share data, certain data. Normally they don't agree to share catch data, but they agree to share data. And because everything done in confidentiality and automatically, they just receive the map, which bycatch area to avoid, and that's it. They haven't seen any hotspot for the other vessels, so there was no issue of commercial secret or any of these things in this particular case.
Great. And one final question, and let's make sure, oh no, there's someone else has dropped in too. It's fine, we'll keep going, keep putting questions in the chat if you're happy to stick around. In the screenshot of the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand for the RTI, how are the coloured blocks assigned the budget? What is this based on?
Okay, so let's say that we have about 20 people, wise people, very clever people sitting in a room, and everybody has a concern. One guy is concerned about the benthic, the benthos, you know, the coral, the black coral or other coral. One is worried about certain species that might be a bycatch species. Other one worry about, I don't know, possible economic impact or financial impact or marketing. We're taking all this information and we build certain kind of a platform where we can assign risk point to every consideration. So we're using science, but then we put a lot of risk point and we create and merge them into a risk value. And the risk value, if it's come out to be very high, it's mean this is the area where the fish, certain species can caught in a very catch rate is very high, and there are black coral there. And the fishermen using a fishing gear which is not selective and very destructive. And this is a place where a lot of people want to fish because it's, as I said, a very good catch area. This is what we call a very high risk area. If you spend, that will be red. And if you spend too much time there, you will spend your points very quickly. So maybe in one day of fishing in a hot area, you lose more points than you are fishing in a cold area, 20 or 30 or 40 days in the cold area. So that's the principle. And the risk is a combination of ecological risk, economic risk, biological risk, financial risk. And so the scientific process is still taking place. The way we transfer our consideration and concern is now much more holistic because it takes into account by these color scheme maps, many risk considerations and put them together.
Great, thank you. And this other question says, are other agencies and governments designing similar systems, especially given the impetus on better control for inshore fisheries?
When you say you're talking about eLog or a particular, or the RTI, or the system that I explained about the RTI, or talking about electronic logbook, virtually all countries almost using electronic logbook one way or another. Most of them, I would say 99% of them, is really just taking the compliance form and putting it on a computer, which is sometimes even provided by free to fishermen, which is, of course, is a huge competition for us because everybody like freebies. Very few, if any, actually taking this holistic view of using the tool for management. Most of them just for compliance, because as I said, the compulsory compliance requirement are the best marketing tool. Virtually every fishing vessel in Europe above 12 meters need to have electronic logbook on the vessel. And so in New Zealand, so is in North America, in Australia, we have our software in all this country, and some of them using very, very basic electronic form, and some of them using a far more sophisticated tool, well, our tool basically. But it is very commonly used. We have hundreds of clients using our platform now in all around the world. Yeah.
Great. I'm not seeing any other questions pop in. So with that, I think we'll leave it there perfectly on the 45-minute mark. But thank you again so much for giving your presentation and telling us about that. This will go up on the SMR YouTube channel. So if people have found this interesting and want to watch it again or send it around, then you can. I'm sure Amos will be happy to take any questions over email if anything pops in your head.